Lancet usually publish global burden of diseases, which policymakers usually use to make a policy. Okay, focus on global health, clinical trials too. Journal of Physiotherapy, Project of Physiotherapists, clinical practice and medical rehabilitation. Nature, scientists across discipline, groundbreaking research, groundbreaking research. BMJ, BMJ Open Sciences, researcher and practitioner, open access to across health. So different BMJ dealing with different fields in health sciences. Right? So choosing a journal for your work, look at the scope and aim. The scope and aim of your study, readership and circulation, how many people are reading it, all the number of circulation, is it adequate, is it not adequate, impact factor and indexation. So look at where the journal is indexed and the impact factor of such journal. Okay, open access option. So if it's an open access options, that means many people will be able to read the papers, they'll be able to download the papers in open access. If it's not open access, if the individual has to pay for it, it will be limited. So then look at acceptance rate and review time. There's some journals in which in 2 years you will not complete it. They will not review it in time. They will not send the reviewer comment to you in time. And when you even review it, it will take long time. So some journals take time to process papers. So you look at all those factors before you do your submission to any journal. Thank you so much. So that's the first phase. So if there are questions.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Please, sir, can we get this note so that we can pass it to those that are not in the group yet?
Sure, you get it.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. So if there's any question, let's ask before we move to the other ones. Shall we move on?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah.
All right, so we want to move to writing scientific manuscript paper. First of all, we divided this into two parts, part 1 and part 2. And I want us to pay clear attention to what I'm going to be discussing with us. We can do some jottings, although this paper is going to be given to us. So we can do some jottings. I believe that many of our younger people are under this webinar, and they are listening. So what I want is to make sure that we have some people that will be publishing after this lecture. There will be good publishing, the publishers, have impact journals publications so that you can have citation, you can have more read. Okay, so after all this introduction, for one to be able to grab reading, grab a publication very well, you have to be a scholar that publish impact journals. If you want to be a scholar, you have develop some attributes of a scholar. Number one, expertise and mastery in their field. You have to be an expert and master your field very well. For example, if you want to specialize in orthopedic, you have to master that area. You have to be downloading some journals and be reading it at least maybe in a week. Read at least 5 publications in that field. Okay, in that area, whether it's back pain that you want to specialize in, you have to download recent papers on that field, what they are using to treat, how advanced is that field. So you have to master that field. You have to be an expert in that field. So you don't miss anything that is new. So you'll be abreast with the new information that is coming from such. But if you are not reading it, if you are not an expert, whatever you want to contribute to the village will be outdated. All right, so you have to be abreast, of that field. You must be reading new things. You must be downloading articles on that field. Then you will be attending the webinars, seminars, lectures on that area. And then you can also have people that will mentor you. They will be asking questions from who are experts in that field. Then you must have strong research skills. Research skills, you have to build that skills. Okay, you have to develop that skill. And it's better when you are still young. When you are old, you cannot have that skill. You will not develop that skill for life. There are some academics that in academics, and when you don't publish, the word say publish or perish. That is what in academics, either you publish or perish. There are people that perished in academics. I have some people that taught me that never become professor to be retired, or they don't have publications. This publication that promotes you. In clinic, you count number of years, and maybe you do some exam for your promotion. But in academics, majorly, 90% publications. Once you don't have publication, you are not due for promotion. So you have to develop strong research skill. Okay, originality and innovation, you have to be original and innovative in your mind. You have to have critical thinking, critical mind, of able to lead some studies, able to lead some study, able to plan some studies, through your innovations. Okay, attention to details. Now, somebody that has to be patient to the details in whatever you are doing. Research as a global standard. Okay, so you have to be detailed. You have to be very detailed, and then become an expert in writing. Okay, so effective writing and communication. You develop effective writing skill. and how to communicate to the to public. All right. So collaboration and networking, you must have the mind of collaborating with people from your profession and now across your profession too. Okay? Don't do the low man ranger. All right. So you must be able to collaborate with people from other professions, okay, and within your profession too. You have to gather them together and work harmoniously together to produce publications, right? So there was a time when I was publishing, I didn't know how to do analysis, and I have a colleague in one department. That is what now? The public social sciences. All right, so we were very good in analysis. We combine together, so whenever I collect data, we do analysis, and then we publish together. Until I started grabbing it, little by little, but I also know a little way of analyzing it. So through collaboration and networking, okay, persistence and resilience. You have to have skill. You have to persist and resilient, because it's always very difficult to publish. I remember when I started in the 90s, the first paper I sent to Physiotherapy UK, I received a damaging, distressful author's response, editor's response. You know, the report was so pathetic. I was down when I read it. I was down, but I didn't give up. I used all these comments to build myself. So the next one I was sent to them was much more better, and they acknowledged it. They asked me to have some revision on it. Then after reviewing it, I accepted it for publication. So I was so happy. So that was my first international publication. So I was so happy. So that jammed me up. So but there's some editor that can write nasty things back to the author. So you don't mind whatever they write, you don't get down, you have persistency, you have resilient spirit, you're able to go up again. So there are some papers that when they review it, it's like starting again, like writing the whole entire script. Understanding of population dynamics. You have to study how population is done. Usually there is a standard way of writing publication. We are going to learn as we continue this webinar. Ethical integrity. You must have ethical integrity. There are some people that plagiarize, don't have integrity. There are different types of plagiarism. Okay, so you must avoid plagiarism. You must avoid cooking data. Some people will not even go to the field. You just formulate data and publish. It is wrong. Some people will copy the work of others. And will not give credits to such authors or individuals. They believe that they do it as if they are doing their own words. There are some people even will remove the name of the author. We have seen it in academia. Removing the name of author, publish paper, they put their name and they will publish it. This is ethical integrity. Okay, so you have to have integrity, because something can destroy your integrity. Maybe you have built a name, you have built career, and then you involve in plagiarism, so that can destroy that integrity. That can destroy your career. You know, we have seen some cases where some PhD have been awarded were withdrawn after they found out that this research has a problem, an ethical problem. So we withdrew the PhD of such individual, and then we also sanctioned the supervisor of that individual. The adaptability and growth mindset. So you have to adapt, you have to have growth mindset. You may love a field, you may have a field which you like, which you are publishing, which you are following. And you feel that that field is not bringing things that promoting you, you are not getting benefit from such field. You can change, you can adapt to another field quickly, and switch your base to another base, and then you go through it. You know, I started with people and all these electrotherapy modalities. Later, I found out that I'm not doing well in that area. And cardiovascular disease is a major killer in the world that people will pay attention to, now and then in the near future. That's why I just changed to cardiopulmonary. All my papers are usually in cardiopulmonary, at least that percentage of cardiopulmonary. So we can adapt and can have good mindset. Then time management and organization. So if you want to be publishing, you must manage your time very, very well. You manage your time very well because it's very difficult to publish. Okay? So you don't give timeline. Whatever you are doing, you will not publish a paper in a year. If you manage your time very well, you can publish at least 5 to 3 papers in a year. If you start introduction, start methodology, and you are allotting time to them, it will be helpful to you to be able to complete those papers in time. So you have to time management and organization. You have to organize yourself because you have to allot time to this publication. Okay, so if you want to publish, you have to select journal of interest. Journal of interest. There are something you have to first of all do before you say you want to publish journal. You have to publish publication in journal. You have to read, when you select a journal, you have to read the instruction to author very, very well. Don't just send your paper to the journal without reading author's instruction. Otherwise, you will send your paper back as you sent them. You send it back to them. It has happened to me in the past. Okay. So pay attention to the length of manuscript. They give you the length of manuscript. Maybe the total text should be maybe 3,000, 5,000. They give you. Don't go beyond that. Then look at their reference style. Different journals have different styles of referencing. So look at their reference style, AJ, PhD, Vancouver. You have to pay attention to it. Okay. Then you have to pay attention to sections of manuscript. Okay. There are some that have abstracts, you have introduction, some have picture review, some have picture review, then some don't have picture review. Go to methodology, results, and then discussion. So you have to look at the section. So my advice is for anybody that wants to submit journal to submit paper to journal, download a published paper from that journal. Study it, study that one that you have downloaded. You go into that journal that you have published. You will not miss anything out from their instruction to authors. Okay. Publishing requirements, rigorous investigation. Research conducted according to certain standards and controlled appropriately. Before you decide to publish a paper, you have conducted a study appropriately, rigorously. You have done your best, to do some kind of methodology, kind of data gathering. You have talked about variables. You have collected rigorous data for investigation. Number two is relevance. Research that is useful, consumable, readable, meaningful, and value adding. So your research must be useful, must be consumable, must be readable, and must be meaningful and value adding. So there are some papers which you publish may be redundant, may not be relevant, may not be consumable, and may not be readable. Research will not attract acceptance from any journal. And then interesting. The journal must also be interesting to read. Okay. So you have some normal manuscript sections which you pay attention to. Number one, you must have title. The title of your paper must be must speak for itself. Must be direct, must be meaningful, must be directional. So it must not have any meaning. It must have direction. Okay? So when you have title, you have author's name. You use author's name. Then affiliations, where the authors are coming from, the institution where the authors are coming from, the affiliation, then emails of those authors. So you can have lead author. Lead author will have to be decided by all the contributors to the journal, to the paper. You have anybody that conceive the title, the research, and usually lead author. Anybody that conceive that plan it, and usually lead author. It will not be corresponding author. Corresponding author is the author that send the paper to journals. So the journal will be communicating with the corresponding author. And not necessarily that you have to be lead author. And lead author can also be corresponding author. So these are normal sections of manuscript. Apart from first page, you need titles, authors' names, affiliations are. So the first section is abstract, followed by introduction, followed by methodology, followed by research, followed by discussions, conclusion, acknowledgements, references, and appendices. So acknowledgements are people that help you in the study, but they are not qualified to become author. Maybe they sponsor, they pay for one thing or the other in that article, or maybe they are the one that sponsored experiments, your study. Anybody can help you one way or the other can be acknowledged. So these are the normal sections. So abstracts, the summary of the entire research paper. So it should allow a reader to evaluate quickly the content of the papers and judge if it is relevant to him or her. Okay, so the abstract is the first part of the manuscript, which you have to write in an independent way. So that when authors read it, when anybody read it, they can quickly say, okay, you want to read, you are interested in this paper, you are going to read the paper. Please give me 1 minute. Sorry, I want to change. Are you hearing me?
Very well, sir.
So please give me 1 minute. All right, I'm back. So we are talking about abstract. So abstract is summary of the whole paper. Summary of the paper in which it will stand alone. Anybody that will not read entire work should be able to gain a lot from the abstract. So it contains a background of the work. So background of the work and the aims of the work goes together. Okay. Methods. So you have to describe methods. This area where people don't do well. They don't tell us how the data were collected, how the structure their manipulate their variables. So under method, you have to tell us what to do in that study, how you collect your data. To be true, so maybe you measure or you treat a patient, or you administer interview, or you administer questionnaire. So this is where you tell us. So your result also will capture major result. You cannot tell us all the result, but major result that is very essential. That's what we discussed in the result section. And then you have to quantify your result. You have to use a quantity. Then people will just write not like in words. You not put percentage, you not put names, of all those things. So just like qualitative results. You have to put quantitative results where necessary. Right? So conclusion too, you have to tell us your conclusion. The major conclusion, people write recommendation under conclusion is wrong. The major results of your work is what you conclude on. Even there's a high prevalence rate of hypertension in this community. Even we are okay, recommend routine screening of blood pressure. So you have to tell us maybe the prevalence is low, is moderate, or high. That's the major result that people are looking for in abstract. So abstract is a technical thing to write, but very simple if you know what you want to write. Okay, so you have to show background, method, result, and conclusion. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
keywords. So you have to look at maybe 3 to 5 keywords too, majorly from your titles. The keyword majorly come from the titles, so you provide the keywords. So these keywords are very essential because when people are searching for articles online with these keywords, and you allow them to see your work too. You have to list that, bring out your study too, using the keywords. Okay, so main body of the manuscript now. Main body, introduction, methods, result, discussion, and conclusion. So with that, let's look at introduction. So your title, you must have a working title first. The title can change at the end of the whole manuscript. After you are completed your whole manuscript, can change. But you must have the title, topic title, at least tentative title, so that we're able to discuss all the variables in the title. So whatever title you choose, you have to discuss all the variables that come from that title. You have to introduce them. That's what the introduction, that's what important of introduction is. You tell us what is in that title, okay, what you want to address. You tell us what you want to address from that title. For example, there's a prevalence of obesity and hypertension in a particular community. So that means you have to discuss of obesity. You have to discuss about hypertension. You have to link them, you have the link. And then you have to provide the gap. The gap is what the reviewer or the editor will be looking for. Is there any justification for this study? So it is the introduction that you justify the study. Why it is thought necessary? Is the study necessary at this point in time? So I used to tell my students, and wherever I'm presenting, that the introduction is a gateway to your study, the manuscript. If you are writing a story, if the hero of that story died in the first chapter, died in the first chapter. So what's the essence of reading the entire story? So people will lose interest in reading the entire story. Okay. So that means you have to build your story, your introduction in a good way that will interest the author to continue to read. So you can spend much time in introduction than any other section of the story. Once you have good introduction, be sure that the work will be interesting to read. So all the variables in the title should feature in the introduction, and there must be smooth transmission. Paragraph 1 must link to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 will link to paragraph 3, 3 to 4. So you will not use more than 5 paragraphs in introduction. If it's too much, it's too lengthy, you may lose the touch. You will not link. So you must build it in something that like a main block, okay? Like a main block, so that the first paragraph you need to go on paragraph, then like that. That is make it interesting. And then the way you build it is that you start with a broad background view, then narrow it down. Narrow it down to the local, then in the field. For example, okay, we're focusing on the prevalence of hypertension. So you can start by saying hypertension is a global disease. It's a global, or it's a major concern worldwide. So you have started from the world, right, from the major one. Okay, so you can narrow it down to in Africa, hypertension prevalence is reported to be so and so. You go down to Africa. Okay, sub-Saharan can also go back to sub-Saharan. In sub-Saharan country also battling with the issue of hypertension. So if the country is Nigeria, then you are narrow down to Nigeria. So you started broadly, then coming down gradually. Okay, so from that now build your gap. Now stage your gap. At the end of that will be the last sentence or last paragraph. Okay, it is not known. The prevalence of hypertension is not known in this community. Okay, so where others have reported so and so, nothing has been reported in this part of the world. So So you have to build on previous studies. You don't write introduction from your head. You make use of a published article, published literature. That is where you have to make use of them. You have to use them. Okay? You have to use them. So you link them together and build them analytically and critically written. So you analyze and criticize them. So analytically is that you analyze what is in literature, what has been said. Okay. For example, if somebody has used things to manage pain, so and so use things to manage 200 patients, and come out that 10 has analgesic effects on this. Another one said use it for 300 patients, it has no analgesic effect. You analyze all those. Then critically, you now come out, okay, say, okay, maybe the first author use 10 minutes, the second author use 15 minutes. The first author used 15 minutes. He recorded no analgesic effect. Another author used 10 minutes. He recorded no analgesic effect. So critically, you can also kill. Probably the amount of duration of things is limited. That is not known if things is used for a very long period, like 30 minutes, whether it will have produce analgesic effects. So you just criticize whatever has been done to bring out your own study. That is very critical. That is very important in any study. If author does not see any gap, you not accept that paper. You don't need for that study. So you must have a need for that to create a gap, identify a gap, from that study. Okay. Example I used to use. Okay. Using histamine electrophoresis on wound healing. Use of histamine electrophoresis on wound healing. Okay. You know that histamine is a vasodilator and dilate. So the people are going to have indolent ulcer that want to use histamine for can also have underlying cardiovascular problem. In the adults, they have cardiovascular problem. So if you want to justify such study, okay, histamine electrophoresis is mainly used for wound healing. The effects on cardiovascular system is not known. The effect of histamine electrophoresis on cardiovascular system is not known. Therefore, the study is to assess the cardiovascular response using histamine electrophoresis. So you have built that gap, you have justify that study. That is not the healing that is very important to you, but how it affects the cardiovascular problem. So that anybody can have wound healing and also have cardiovascular problem. So that the caution should be taken. If you find out that there is an affectation of the cardiovascular system in that period. Okay? So you also have in your introduction dependent and dependent variables. Dependent and dependent variables are always present in research. Independent variables are variables that you can manipulate. You can manipulate them, okay, in the study. Dependent variables are one you cannot manipulate. The one that you measure or you study or you recorded. Okay, one that you study, you assess. These are the dependent variables. Okay. So study objectives and hypotheses. You can have hypotheses. You always have objectives. Objectives are measurable. So tell us the objective for the study, and then, if possible, hypothesis. Right? So now let's give some example of introduction. An example of introduction. We have, for example, prevalence of obesity-related hypertension among overweight or obese adults in the River Nile State in northern Sudan, a community-based cross-sectional study. Are you following me? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so now the introduction, the personal wrote introduction like this, which I want us to learn from. So the risk factor for hypertension in Sudan and globally are age, obesity, alcohol consumption, smoking, behavioral, metabolic, and genetic factor. Okay, so you see that this person has started globally. This factor for hypertension in Sudan and globally are this. Okay, the prevalence of hypertension is about 5% in sub-Saharan Africa. So that it has moved down to sub-Saharan Africa and it increases over time and increases over time. So the prevalence and the risk factor of hypertension were extensively studied in African countries. For instance, obesity is well recognized risk factor for development of hypertension. The prevalence of hypertension in Sudan has come down to Sudan, that is the country of note, was found to be 35.7%. The prevalence of obesity is also high in Sudan, and this found to be 21.2. Obesity is socially acceptable in Sudan and is considered a sign of wealth. Okay, so this statement is very, very important and very key to the reader. Okay, so you may be wondering why obesity is socially acceptable in Sudan and considered to be a sign of wealth. All right, at the time people be using some drugs, some fattening drugs, drugs that make people to be fat. Okay. So they believe that the more you are fat, the more you are wealthy. So there are some ladies sometimes they use such drugs. Okay. So this is very, very interesting. It will interest the audience, especially the audience in advanced country. We want to read the entire paper to see what the problem is. Right. So previous study conducted in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, and Eastern Sudan showed the association of hypertension with obesity in Sudanese patients. For instance, Eastern Sudanese obesity in association with hypertension was found to be 32.7, while in Khartoum, the capital, the prevalence was 40.2. Okay, so very high in the capital. So that's where the rationale and gap come out from. So the River State is unique as large number of tribes of Sudan lives in the region. It is large agricultural hub for food and food, with many workers traveling to and fro from the region. The study will be continuation of the series of previous studies conducted in the region about hypertension in urban, rural, and different ethnic groups in the United States. And so that's the justification for it. The unique and large number of tribes of Sudan lives in the region. It's a large agricultural hub for food, fruits, with many workers traveling to and from that study. So that is a continuation, continuation of a series of previous studies conducted in region about hypertension. So there are some studies that can be repeated maybe after 5 years. If you have studied a community, after 5 years, and activity is going on, more than before in that community. So we want to know what has also happened to that community. So the justification, for this study. We know whether things have changed, whether things have become bad or what. So that's justification for that study. So this is also another gap. Our previous thematic review and meta-analysis provided evidence that regular exercise improves physical fitness among adults asthmatics. But the evidence was insufficient to assess the effect of exercise on asthma control and quality of life. To fill this gap in knowledge, we conducted the regular exercise and asthma control trial to test the hypothesis that regular exercise improves asthma control. To enhance the gap, and the gap has been filled. Okay, to fill this gap in knowledge, we conducted irregular exercise and asthmatic control trial to test the hypothesis that regular exercise improves asthma control. So the only work we reported was systematic review and meta-analysis. The regular exercises improve that, but they have not put into practice. So we now decide that whether this activity will improve it, we don't know. So that's why they conducted regular exercise and national control. That's the discussion. So we have treated the introduction. So introduction is a very major part. I'm going to tell the editor whether I should go further to read your paper. So the next stage is methodology. Methodology is the core of the paper. If the paper is going to be rejected, it's going to majorly be on methodology. One methodology is wrong, paper will not be accepted. In that one methodology is wrong, you will not be able to have a modification to that paper again. So it should be very viable. Okay? It must be reproducible. So the way you do your methodology is going to be your own work. You don't depend on another work on your methodology, except you use the protocol of some authors. So what you are going to describe is going to be your own work and your own words. Okay, the core of the paper should be very viable and reproducible. So reproducible in the sense that whatever you write, whatever you do, will be report into of what you do. Technically, you don't miss anything out from what you do. So that another person that's not beside you will read and able to redo what you did, able to replicate that study the way you did it exactly. So at the end, the methodology is very good. Okay, you use appropriate words, technical words, okay, equipment. You have to use appropriate equipment to gather your data. All right, so part of methodology, participant and study population. Okay, so you have to describe, under this section, you have to describe the target population. Okay, target population, sample size, sampling technique. Okay, so are you working among the teachers in particular town? You have to tell us. Are you working among the students in a particular institution? You have to tell us. Okay, sampling techniques. All right, so how do you put your sample. Did you use randomization to select them? Okay. Do you use random sampling? Do you use stratified sampling? Do you use a purposive sampling? You have to tell us under that participant and study population. Okay. If you are using patients, OA patient, for example, patient, okay, divided to two groups, one in intervention current, one in TENS. Okay. How did you assign them to all those groups? Is it random sampling? Is it simple random sampling where you maybe just do balloting? Wherever the patient pick, that's where it falls into. All right, so you have to tell us the stratified sampling technique. You use stratified that maybe you want male and female to be part of the study. You want equal male and equal female. So you stratify them, you put male and female and say different sides. Then you pick from them into your study. Purposive sampling, maybe you already proposed that this is the type of sample that I want, this is the patient that I want. That's purposive sampling. So you also calculate sample size. Sample size calculation, you do it so that the number you choose will be representative of the population, so that your study can have effect size, so that you can have external validity. And some study, the sample still will not represent the population and may not be useful. Or if it's too large, you are just wasting your time and your resources. In order not to waste your resources, you have to calculate the sample size to make the appropriate sample that you need. Okay. So include inclusion and exclusion criteria for selecting participants. There must be inclusion criteria when you are looking for maybe age 30 to 50, patient without cognitive impairment, so then I can walk, then I can talk, I can give feedback. And those are the ones that you selected. So maybe one you are excluding. Maybe the other one, began with fracture, began with asthma, began with cardiovascular disease. If you are excluding them, you have to let us know under your methodology. Okay. So data collection methods are different types of way of collecting data. So how data was collected. See survey, see interview, use observation, experiments, or archival analysis. Okay. So we have quantitative data and qualitative data, qualitative research and quantitative research. Quantitative research has to do with data, has to do with numeric value, quantity, has to do with quantity. So all the things that are measurable, like weight, like height, you have to measure them, so they are quantity. You have to tell us how you measure them. Interviews, okay? These are the qualitative research. How do you conduct interview? How do you transcribe the interview? Experiments, whether you perform experiment, you have to let us know. Include details about the tools or instrument used. Okay, you have to provide the details of what you use. You have to describe the questionnaire. Okay, you have to use questionnaire. Has anyone used that questionnaire before? What is psychometric property of that questionnaire? Value of psychometric property of that questionnaire before. So describe the content of that questionnaire in that study. Okay, so discuss, conduct validity and validity of the tools. All right, so when you use an improvement, you have to conduct the validity and reliability of that tools. to make sure that your result is valid or reliable. Okay, for example, now we have some phone now. You can measure your blood pressure through phone now. Okay, so we want to do a study that involves measurement of blood pressure. So you have to do the validity of that phone, this phone with a standard measurement of blood pressure. So that standard instrument for measuring blood pressure is what now? Mercury manometer. Mercury is the standard. So you have to validate your phone with that mercury manometer. And validity is the ability of the instrument to measure what is purported to measure. So like you gather about 15 people together, you use phone to measure their blood pressure. And then those 15 people too, you use mercury sweep to measure them. So you have to do that. Measurement 1, measurement 2, measurement by phone, measurement by sweep. So you now do the analysis. When you do the analysis, you see do the analysis, then the result will come out to give you the validity of that instrument. Okay, so the result will come out in form of 0.9, 0.8, 0.9, 0.8. The more it's closer to 1, the more the validity of that instrument. We use classic formation to assess them. So the more closer to 1, the more the validity of that instrument. So that's how to measure the validity of that instrument. So the reliability is the ability of an instrument to measure what we're going to measure consistently. Ability of an instrument to measure what's permitted to measure consistently. So when you use your phone to measure the blood pressure this week, you use it for 15 people. And after a week, you use it again to measure the same number of people. So you now correlate the two readings. When you correlate them, when it's result come out very close to 1, so now highly reliable. Highly reliable. So that's how to conduct some of the validity of an equipment. It's very important to make sure that what you are doing is correct. So procedure. Okay, so if you mention ethical consideration, including obtaining informed consent, you have to tell us under procedure whether your patient gives informed consent, and also whether you get informed consent from the authority of your organization, ethical committee, then you get ethical permission from them. So explain step-by-step process for conducting the research. And let us know how you gather your participants, what you do to them, how you treated them, what you measure, how you treated them. For example, you are treating a patient for dosage you say you give you are treating the patient for 30 minutes, 3 times in a week. Let us know if patient undergo, if patient you are treated with ultrasound for 15-minute duration and 3 times in a week, and for the maximum of 6 weeks. So let us know that how pattern was treated and how data was gathered. Very, very important. So at the end of the methodology, at the end of the last part of the methodology, we take data analysis. how you analyze the data. Apply the technique and tools to analyze the data. Okay? So, e.g., statistical software, coding, qualitative analysis, describe statistic test, thematic analysis, or other relevant technique applied. So you have to tell us in analysis, you actually have two types of analysis, descriptive analysis and inferential statistics, descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So descriptive mainly mean percentage, mean, mode, media, and graph, bar chart, pie chart. Those are the descriptive, what I can show you at the point in time in the short. All right. So the potential statistics are one that you use to analyze data and and test your hypothesis through that inferential statistics and t-test and ANOVA and correlation. So and so forth. So you have to tell us the data analysis tool that you use and what you use them for. Then you have to state the p-value accepted for the significance. So you set the level of significance maybe 0.005, 0.05, and 0.01. You want to give the level of the significance, you have to set it in the methodology. So if you set your p-value at 0.05, so any calculation that you do that is less than 0.05, that means it is significant. What you are looking for is significant. If it is greater than 0.05, that means it is not significant. For example, we are comparing group people that are receiving thanks. People comparing with people receiving potential comments. Okay, so if you are looking at their pay, if you analyze the pay, the data, and then it gives you 0.02, 0.02, that means it's going at 0.05. That means there's some kind difference between A and B, intervention pay and thanks. So when you are reporting that, the way of reporting that, but if the data is 0.06, that means not significant. So example of methodology, let's look at it. I want you to pay attention to it and read it. At the end of the day, I'm going to ask a question. At the end of the day, evaluating the impact of aerobic exercise on cardiovascular health in adults, a quantitative cross-sectional study. Evaluating the impact of aerobic exercise on cardiovascular health in adults, a quantitative cross-sectional study. I want to pay attention to it. So you know that we are going to criticize this methodology. I said that it is very key for acceptance of your paper. So you have to try it very well. If there's people not been accepting it. So this study utilized a quantitative cross-sectional design to evaluate the effects of aerobic exercise on cardiovascular health in adults aged 30 to 50. The study was conducted over 6 months from January to June 2024 and the National Investigation for Department of Medical Rehabilitation. Participants, a total of 100 participants were recruited using convenience sampling from the effect community group. Inclusion criteria included adults aged 30 to 50, free from cardiovascular diseases, and not engaged in regular exercises in the past 6 months. Inclusion criteria involve individuals with chronic illness, pregnancy, or current medication affecting cardiovascular function. All participants provided written informed consent before participation. Technical approval was obtained from the Institutional Review Board of Institute of Public Health. Okay. Data collection procedure. Participants attended a baseline assessment where anthropometric data, height, weight, BMI, and vital signs, blood pressure, resting heart rate were recorded. Participants then underwent a 12-week aerobic exercise program consisting of moderate intensity workouts with a 60 to 70% maximum heart rate 3 times per week. Each session lasting 45 minutes. Cardiovascular was measured using VO2 max test at baseline and post-intervention. Blood pressure and resting heart rate were also recorded pre and post. Data were analyzed using SPSS version 25. Descriptive statistics summarized data demographic. The PRT test was used to predict the pre and post intervention cardiovascular measurement. Pascal figure was set at P less than 0.05. This is the example of the methodology. It's very straightforward and very understandable. So, but it's not perfect. That's why I want us to look at it and criticize it. What are the things that may not be allowed this study to be reproducible at now? Let me read it again so that you can understand. So the study utilized a quantitative cross-sectional design to evaluate the effects of aerobic exercises on cardiovascular health in adults 30 to 35, 30 to 50. The research was conducted over 6 months from January to June 2024 at the Obafemi University Department of Medical Rehabilitation. The total of 100 participants were recruited using performance sampling from a new beauty group. The division criteria included adult aged 30 to 50, free from cardiovascular disease, and not engaged in regular exercise in the past 6 months. The division criteria involved individuals with chronic anemia, pregnancy, or current medication affecting cardiovascular function. All participants provided written informed consent before participation. Medical approval was obtained from the Institutional Review Board of Institute of Public Health. Okay. So participants attended a baseline assessment where better and vital sign. So I want us to reflect on it and there are some questions. So let me give you 1 minute to reflect on it and point out some things that are not included in this methodology. 1 minute. Are we working on it? Oh, we are working on it. So I want to answer, what are the necessary things that are not included that are supposed to, I can make this work to be reproducible? I want to respond from the house. Can you speak to me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can kindly mute and talk. Let us know who and who are talking. What are the likely things that can make this technology better, that can make it reproducible? There are some things that are missing, that are not described in that method. Any trial? All right, let's continue. So there are some things that are missing. Okay, like which area of community were chose? Just say they are drawn from the community. There are so many communities within the sector. We have university community. We have people in the town. We have people in developed area within the town. Okay, how are they chosen? People that are chosen, how are they chosen? Okay, how are they chosen? Very important. There's no sample size calculation. Okay, so how many times were BP measured was not stated. Okay, and the posture of the patient when they are measuring their blood pressure. Are they lying down? Are they sitting? Are they standing? You know that there are difference. A different posture, there are difference in blood pressure. Okay. So what type of instrument are used to measure the blood pressure? So these are the things that are not included in the methodology and are very vital for people to replicate that study very well. But if you measure your own BP while patient is sitting, another person measure when they are lying, it's going to be different. Okay? So these are the way to analyze your methodology. When you send your methodology to outside, make sure that you pay attention to these details so that it will not be unnecessarily criticized. All right. So what position was participant assume? What type of aerobic exercises used? The just the aerobic exercises. Feedback ergometer, another type. How was the exercise structured and progressed over 12 weeks? Okay, how many minutes the exercise took place? How do you progress? Because exercise is progressive. Cannot be doing the same thing for 12 weeks. Okay. So how was the VO2 measured? Do you use an instrument or you use equation? It's not reviewed in that study. And participants divided into two groups of serving as their own control. So these are the issues in that study, study. So that led us to come to the end of the part one of this study, of this presentation, introduction and methodology. So is there any question? Anybody want to ask question? I think we are still going to have this paper sent to us. Is there any question?
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, sir, please, I want to understand how we can go about sample size calculation. Is there a way to go about it? And then how do we just determine the number of participants we want to use for a particular study? Do we just pick it randomly? Because I saw you highlighted sample size calculation. Do we just pick it, or just how do we go about it?
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
are different formula. There are different formulas in the literature, depending on that of study that you want to do. Okay, you can get different formula from literature. That will depend on the type of study that you are doing, whether it's experimental, whether it's traditional, whether maybe intervention is intervention. Okay, so it depends on the type of study you are doing. So you go to literature, you start literature very well. Okay, you get one and be appropriate for your use. And then some of the things that you are going to make use of prevalence, even prevalence, the rate of previous prevalence. Okay, the p-value, make use of maybe previous p-value of the previous studies. Okay, so you have to depend on previous study that you need to study to get the type of formula that you are looking for. That's the appropriate for the study. There are many formulas in the literature, but it depends on the type of your work. So if you get a work now, if you want to publish a paper now, I always advise my students that you get 3 to 5 published articles in that area. I mean 3 to 5 articles related to that study. So they study that literature. They make use of the formula the previous study used, to get the sample size. So when you have published article, your work is going to be very easy for you because it has been done, has been published. So whatever formula they use, you use similar formula too. You not be happiness. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? So, Tolu, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
I guess we should take like 5 minute break.
No, sir. Prof is already waiting, sir.
We should go on.
Professor he said he's ready to start up immediately, sir. So, sir, we will start up immediately, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so research session now. Research session, we said the findings of the research in a clear, concise, and logical manner to be objective and free of interpretation. So in your manuscript, your thesis is chapter 4 of thesis research. It is what to analyze that you present into this section. Okay. All the things you analyze will not come under this. That's one that you remove. But you just have to structure it in form of tables, in form of graphs, and in form of pie charts. Okay. So when you gather your research, you form tables. So the table that you are going to be reporting and the graph that you are going to be reporting, which is figure. Okay, so we can organize the research objectives or hypothesis. So once you have objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, okay, so that's how to organize it. But you first of all do the socio-demographic data, usually first table, socio-economic data, the age of the participant, the height of the participant, the weight of the participant, so married or no married. So that is usually the chapter, the table 1, okay, so that you need to report, the participant in your study, all right, so, yeah, report key findings clearly, summarize only the relevant data, avoid unnecessary detail, use text to highlight major trend, pattern, or you can't find this, all right, so once you form your table, I told you not all the things that come out from the analysis that you are going to report. So you are going to put key things in your table. Okay? So I'm going to be numerical data, using table graph. Okay? And then you are going to name the number of that table or figure and table 1. Okay, table 1, table 2, figure 1, figure 2. Okay. So the title of your table will be at the top of the table. Here at the top of your table. All right. So for figure, the title of your figure will be below the figure. That's why you put the title. It's title of your figure going to be below the figure. But the title of your table will be on top of the table. All right. Okay. So you are going to write the means, standard deviation, and p-value in your table, or confidence interval in your table. Your table will contain means, standard deviation, p-value, or confidence interval inside your table. Indicate income level for results when applicable. So, for example, if you are comparing two groups, okay, group A, we have their own mean, maybe mean of blood pressure, mean of weight, mean of the strength. Group B, we also have the mean and standard deviation in such case. And then either maybe you use t-test, the value of t-test, and also p-value at the end of the table, you have the p-value. So indicates income level from some when applicable. So if there's income difference in your analysis, you asterisk the p-value something, you asterisk it, that will show that it is significant. So you put it at the bottom of the table. So you put that significant difference at the back and below the table, that significant and p-value, p less than 0.05 or p less than 0.01 must be below the table. Okay. So use when presenting that data as equal to describe in text. Okay. Title written on top of the paper, graph, figure, image written on the bottom of the paper. Okay. Text summarizing key finding in words, visualizes income trend of outcome. Report both positive and negative results. So once you report whatever in that table, maybe for example, table 1, first of all describe what is in table 1. Table 1 show the comparison of blood pressure of group 1 and group 2. It showing that blood pressure systemic blood pressure is significantly higher in group 1 than group 2. That's a table 1. You need to go to table 1, you're able to see that significant difference in that table. Okay. So if there's any negative report, you have to state it. It's not that everything has to be positive. Okay. There are some students that are worried when they analyze the data and there's no positive reports in their study, they are worried. You should not worry since they are studying. That is what you find, and that is what you are going to also report. Whatever you find is what you report. Okay? So don't manipulate yourself, don't manipulate your data. Always report whatever is there for you. So you have to write in past tense. So since you are describing computed experiment, you have to write in past tense when you say it in past tense. Align your result with the stated objective or hypothesis. So make sure that you follow your hypothesis. It's one, you send the result first, followed by hypothesis 2, followed by hypothesis 3. So you have to use a logical way like that to be able to read your work very well. Okay. So example of the result section, a total of 200 patterns were included in the study with a mean age of 45.6, standard deviation of 12.3. Of these, 55%, taking the 110, were female, and 45%, 90 were male. Table 1 provides a summary of the demographic characteristics of the participant. Okay. So this table will follow it. This explanation on that table. So the table will have follow it. This how to describe it. Total of 200 personnel were included in the study with a mean age of 45.6 and further division. So the now separated male and female to balance it. Another example, effect of intervention on blood pressure. After 12 weeks of the mean severe blood pressure in the intervention group decreased from 140.2 at baseline to 126.4. So at 0.00. The control group similar reduction 138.9 to 135. So it's 0.07. The distance between the group difference was observed. Okay. So this is a comparison of the result. Now, this is how to write it. If we are saying significant difference in that measurements. Okay. Change in cholesterol level. Total cholesterol level improves significantly in the intervention group, reducing from 220 at baseline to 1.6. So the control group shows no significant change. So this interventional group in cholesterol, we are told to change from 220 to 198, which is significantly different. But in the control group, there's no difference. So these are going to write the results. So key elements in writing result section, provide statistical evidence. Okay. Report names, standard deviation, and p-value. Use table and figure. In fact, the table and figure to have clarity. There are some people that write research, they put table there, but they will not discuss it. They will not refer to it. They put figure there. They will not refer to it, just like a photo album. Whatever you put inside your study, you have to report them at figure 1. Is showed and social shape. The one showed and social shape. They just put it without referring to the concepts and objective. If I put the result here, save that for discussion. So inside that result, just present the result and put explanation on them. So you have to leave it for the discussion session. Okay. So the last part is discussion. We begin by stating your most important results briefly, without repeating the detailed data from the results. Right? So this study found that ultrasound therapy intervention significantly improved pain compared to placebo, supporting the hypothesis that the ultrasound will reduce pain rather than placebo in pain patients with arthritis. So we have already reported the results. So this is discussion. So we have to repeat that result. The study found out that ultrasound intervention can improve pain compared to placebo. So explain why the results are as they are. What mechanism or factor might explain the finding? All right. So ultrasound has been shown to sorry, have been shown to be able to improve pain in the patient. Okay. So we might do the explanation for that. Gamma effect produced by ultrasound machine include dilating the blood vessels, facilitating the blood flow, and therefore reducing the pain. Okay, so the gamma effect will be the reason why being reduced, the pain is being reduced. Okay, so discover whether the findings were expected or surprising, and whether you are surprised to why the gamma effect brings about the mood. It is not surprising because gamma effects always produce vasodilation and improve blood flow. Okay. So compare the previous literature, right? So the findings align with those Adebayo et al. 2020 who reported similar outcome in different populations. However, unlike their study, they observed that ultrasound therapy also improved physical function. All right, so this Adebayo also collaborates with figure our study. So this is how to bring them together. When you do your reports, any study that supports you, you bring them in to support your study. So discuss strength and logic contribution. Emphasize the main aspect of your study, such as the dating method, maybe binding, or implication for practice and theory. So if your study is superior or has some other advantages, you can also note it. For example, to our knowledge, this is the first study to evaluate the long-term effect of ultrasound therapy in managing patients with hepatitis for a period of 12 years, 12 weeks, sorry. No, 12 weeks. Maybe probably all the ones that have been using are using 1 week, 2 weeks. So this study now is 12 weeks. This is a long period of time. So you have to note it too. To our knowledge, this is the first study to evaluate the long term. So it's giving your own work credibility over some others. So acknowledge limitations. This discussion of the area you have identified your limitations, what your study did not cover, what you did not do in your study that can make the surface of your study limited. Okay. So if you don't point it out, it might attract a rejection from the from the reviewer. So we already point out to limitation before we send it out, so that the reviewer will know, and the editor will know, and the guy will know what you are doing. Okay. So you have to be honest about the limitation of your study, the sample size, methodology, generalizability. To discuss how this limitation might affect the interpretation or application of the findings. Okay. So this is an example of limitation. One result of this study is relatively small sample size, which may limit the generalizability of the result to broader population. So we already acknowledge that the sample size is small, which may limit the generalizability of the results to the broader population. So there are some other things we will not be able to measure objectively in your study. You have to point them as a limitation. For example, now, when I was talking about histamine erythrophoresis, okay, for wound healing, one of the reasons that you will not be able to quantify the amount of ions that get into the body system of the patient. You will be able to quantify the amount of iron. So that can be cited as a limitation. Okay, propose future direction. So just area of further research based on your findings and limitations. Future studies should investigate the effect of ultrasound therapy intervention in larger, more diverse population to confirm this finding and explore comparing its effects to trends. Okay, so we have to do that. Future studies should investigate the effect of ultrasound intervention in larger, more diverse population. So that's a future dimension. So example of some of discussion. This study investigated the effect of moderate intensity aerobic exercises on cardiovascular health in adults age 60 and above. Our findings indicate that the 12-week exercise preparation led to significant improvement in VO2 max, blood pressure, and cholesterol level. These results align with previous study by Jones et al. 2020 and Lee Thompson 2021, which reported similar cardiovascular benefit in older adults following structured exercise program. So this is very simple. We have already reported the results and we have told two authors that supporting your work together. This is how to write concise discussion. The one key finding was 50% ability max among participants, which is higher than 10% increase reported in previous study with similar intervention by the Brown et al. 2018. This discrepancy may be due to larger duration and higher adherence rates observed in our study. So this on your own is improved more than previous and also cited due to adherence rates. Additionally, the significant reduction in blood pressure suggest that even moderate street activity can have clinically meaningful effect on hypertension anemia. Important recommendation by American Heart Association 2021. So despite the promising results, our study has limitations. You understand now, for the first, the sample size was relatively small, which we need the availability of the finding. Second, we relied on self-report directly intake, which introduce reporting bias. Future research should explore larger, more diverse population and incorporate objective thinking. So these are the way we like to discussion. Right? So always point out at your limitation. In conclusion, our study provides further evidence that regular aerobic exercise can internally enhance cardiovascular health in older adults. This study emphasizes the importance of promoting structural physical activity programs to reduce the risk, factor, and improve overall well-being in aging population. So, things to avoid when writing discussion. Over-interpretation of the result. Don't over-interpret your results. Don't limit your results to what you have. On one warranted speculation, the ability for speculation in the discussion. You have to remain focused on the data and the patients or the phases you study. Don't speculate that when you use visual interpretation, don't dive into diabetes and maybe you have something will also happen to people with diabetes. No. To reflect the importance of the finding, it is easy to attribute on unwarranted importance to study findings. Don't Focus on your own study. Don't go to any other what you did not do. Don't interpret application to your abilities in area now. You don't use discussion session to criticize other study. Today we should contrast the findings for other studies. This should be done professionally. You do not use discussion to attack other administrators. Alright, so you can only put it to the variance between my work and the work of so and so. Don't say the work of others is substandard. Our own is superior. Don't say anything like that. Always be polite, always be professional. Whenever you are doing something. So when you are doing your completion, you state the objective. You do with nutrition research question or purpose. So now the key findings of the result, analysis that you can without repeating the detail about it. So after you have already finished your final trip, you're going to submit to journal. So the journal, the editors are waiting, the reviewers are waiting to review your work. All right, so when you submit your work, you can get the editor that you submit, you can get your work. You don't follow the guideline of the journal. You just return back your work for you, and it's not appropriate. Or it's not the focus of the own journal. So that's why you have to select appropriate journal for the work. Publish the manuscript as it is. You can decide to publish the work as you submit without correction. But that is very rare. So you can accept your work with minor revision, like you go and do minor revision, or major revision or rejection. That is when it's not accepted in entirety. So the reason why many papers are rejected for design, research, discussion, and all important topics. These are the reasons why some journals are not accepted. Okay. Because of that number of submissions, top-tier journals are often forced to reject even high-quality manuscripts for failure reason, and the large number of submissions are not a fit. So rejection does not mean that manuscript is not good. So if you reject your work, or they review it, you can answer the review and send the paper to another journal. So how to respond to reviewer comments? So reviewer that always comment from the reviewers, either minor or major. So you have to acknowledge the reviewer's effort. Begin by thanking the reviewer for the time and valuable feedback given to you. For example, we strongly appreciate the reviewers' insightful comments, which have helped us improve the clarity and quality of our manuscript. Okay. To organize your response document, list each reviewer's comments separately. Okay, all their comments, leave them separately and read answer them one by one. Provide a clear response under each comment. Indicate how you have modified the manuscript. Highlight changes using bold, italics, or colored text for the clarity. So if you are one, make comment, you just copy it and then answer them one by one. If you agree with them, you have to state what changes you have done to that review. Address each comment respectively and clearly. If you agree with the comment, acknowledge it and describe the changes made. If you disagree, explain your reason politely and provide supporting evidence. Give response, concise, and professional. Right? So when you agree with the content, the reviewer comment, the introduction lacks discussion of recent studies on this topic. That's the comment of the reviewer. So you have to respond. Thank you for your suggestion. We have now included a discussion of recent studies. Smith et al. 2024, Smith et al. 2025 in the introduction. Line, so. So you have responded to that. You have made the adjustment to that. Okay. If you are not agreeing with the author, you have to tell us the reason why. Okay. Thank you for your suggestion. You hear something, but you make use of this type of analysis because our study is categorical data, and using chi-square to analyze for quadrature is appropriate in literature. Thank you. This is how to respond to comment of that because we don't respond very well. The people can be. Thank you for listening. And I believe you are gained a lot from this presentation this morning. Over to you, Titolu.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you, sir, for the presentation. We are very grateful. And right about now, Professor Akoshile would also take over his part so that we can conclude the workshop for today. He's taking parts B, C, and E. And that will start now. Prof, sir, you can unmute and share your slides, sir.
What?
Okay, Prof would like to have to take his screen away first before I can take over the screen. Good morning, Prof.
Hello.
Russell.
It's you.
Okay, you have to take your screen before I can put my own.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
I'm trying to.
Just close the screen.
All right.
Okay, sir. Okay. Can we see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. The name is Christopher Akoshile. Christopher Olusanjo Akoshile. I am based in Nnewi, Anambra State. I am a professor of neurological and geriatric physiotherapy, and presently I'm the Dean, Faculty of Health Science and Technology, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I want to say thank you to my Oga and highly respected senior colleague, Professor Adedoyin, for blessing the trade this morning. Yeah, I believe Prof has opened our eyes and our minds to falling in love with research. And I really appreciate. Thank you, Prof, sir.
Thank you.
Also, Prof has, in a lot of ways, made my job easier because he has discuss well on the platform that is most used for presenting research, and one of the platforms that make researches generally available to audience that will eventually utilize the information from the research, which are journals. I'll still talk about them in some ways as I make this presentation, because they are majorly one area where researchers, those who are searching for information, students doing researches, researchers conducting researches, the primary place where they look for information is journal articles more than any other platform. Other platforms are good for disseminating the information from research, but primarily journal publications stand in the highest place in terms of getting the finding to be utilized for public good and for professional good. Some of these things which Prof has earlier emphasized. So I'll be talking on the real or potential platforms for disseminating evidence, and also disseminating strategies for this evidence, and how to present evidence to different forums and in different formats. What is the need for disseminating evidence? Research studies are undertaken because researchers have identified a problem they want to solve or a gap in literature they want to fill. There is nothing like research for just the sake of conducting research. I actually would tell undergraduate students this much, that if the only reason why you do your research is to fulfill the requirement for the award of the BPT degree or the award of the Bachelor in Piano or Bachelor in Speech Therapy degree, or theology degree, or Bachelor in Occupational Therapy degree, you have not done anything. Researches are not just done. Yes, that is the primary, that's your first motivation. For many of us, for doing research, it's the first time we get into the concept of research. But why that is good, the end is not just the degree. Your supervisor will not waste his time if it's just about you getting the grade for doing the research project. The supervisors invest their time because they believe that the information that you will bring back will also benefit our professions and also our society. That is why, and I can say this, and I know Prof too may have a similar experience, that a good number of the papers that took me to the professorship came from studies that were done with even my undergraduate students. So that's to tell you that those studies that you do at any level, whether as undergraduate students, as a young clinician, as a budding researcher, are not just done for any purpose. They are done because you have identified a problem that you think the public will be interested in. It's important that you are filling the gap. And Prof said earlier how a paper he did, some 2 papers he did, helped some group in India to tackle something that had been a challenge for them, a court case. That's how important, why it's important to push out research results. So until you disseminate the findings of your research, you have not actually completed the process of your research. The research process itself is not completed. Excuse me. And I will urge that not communicating the findings of research studies to the potential users is a disservice to humanity. Just imagine if Prof, after having that data, had not communicated it. Just imagine how that group in India would have lost out. So it's important that we keep this in mind, that anytime we carry out research, we collect data from a group of people or a community or anything, we must have in mind to push the data out. to publish what we have. It's quite important. The different platforms for disseminating evidence can be one through publications in a peer-reviewed journal, can be through conference presentations. Sometimes you are asked to do a policy report. Policy reports are important in the sense that these are things that we don't often use it in Nigeria because most times, except occasionally when it is commissioned, maybe the Ministry of Health is interested in something and they ask you, oh, you are working in this area, you group of researchers that are working in this area, please go ahead and help us investigate this and come out with a policy report. But if you actually have information sometimes that can inform policies, we have not learned to utilize this well. Advanced world or the developed economies, most of the policy changes that they have come from evidence from research. And so sometimes these evidence are given as policy reports. Then we have, public presentation, community engagement are also sources or ways in which we can provide the report or findings from our researches. And more recently, even though this has been on media communications, maybe print, television, print media, newspaper, magazine, and all those things, and audiovisual TVs, iPods, podcasts rather, and all those things have also come in. But we also now have social media coming in as an added advantage as another way of presenting our findings to the public. This particular slide shows the different means where how research can be disseminated. We have the journals, we have preprint servers. We'll talk about each of these. We have the academic social networks. We have the social media platforms. We have the blogs and websites. And we have the news outlets and media, aside institutional repositories and conferences and symposia. So these are, in a nutshell, the summary of the things that are available for us now, means available for us to present our research evidence. But like I said, for this audience this morning, I believe many of us are very well much interested in journal publication. And like I said, is that actually the key area for a researcher to gain visibility and to be able to measure his visibility. Because yes, the social media allows you get likes, you get people responding on your timeline and all this, making comments on your timeline and all those things. But citations to your journal articles, for those who may be charting a course in academia, is a lot important because it brings not just to you, it brings glory to even the institution. So aside glory to you as a person, it also brings the institution itself benefits a lot. And so institutions tend to put a lot of premium on this. And like Prof said earlier, in that world of those of us who will enter academia or who may already have been in academia, is a world, unfortunately, that is based on publish or perish. So if you are not publishing and you are not being seen to be publishing in good and high impact journals and very visible journals, well-cited journals, there is a likelihood that even your promotion or your growth in the system may be hampered. So we'll talk about journals and then we'll go to other ones as we go on. Publication in a peer-reviewed journal is the goal of any research project, because it is through this publication that the findings of one's research reaches colleagues in the field and also helps to advance knowledge and foster interaction and communication between groups. I'm sure many of us have seen letters to the editor written by some other authors in terms of responses to what some authors have published. And the authors are also given an opportunity to respond to those people who have written to criticize their paper. And so there is an opportunity for flow of knowledge between the two groups. And this might also eventually foster some future collaboration. When we argue initially, we might come to a point where we say, okay, let's look at this further. Let's work together and look at this further. And then maybe we can come to some future agreements. Publication itself validates your work. If it's in the cooler and not brought out to the fore, its validity will still be in question. So it is by publishing it that gives it credibility, because that means you are not afraid to bring your truth out to the people to be challenged. So publication validates one's work, and for any researcher can help advance his career, and like Prof also mentioned this, attract funding for future studies. In fact, most funders, when you write proposals for funding, they want to see what you have done in that area prior to obliging you with their grants. Therefore, the need, Prof has also emphasized this, the need to select a relevant and appropriate journal for your research is a sine qua non. It's very quite important. These journals, generally, like most of the things we have now, for even preparing our lectures as lecturers, as more materials from some of these journal publications. And our students doing their assignments, good students will also lean on some of this information to give up to, so that they can make their own presentations can be up to date. So the journal publication caters for students, for researchers, even for the clinicians and the academic community. I know that as a young clinician working in Oyo State some years back, I was fortunate to work in a center where we get steady supply of the physical therapy journal and physiotherapy, the British journal. And so I was constantly, and when I was going for my MSc study, and then even my PhD, it was from materials that I sourced from those journals that I generated the idea and the topics for my master's and PhD. So these are also some of the gains that one can get from this, reading some of these journals. So it caters for all sorts of groups. They are often discipline specific. Maybe it's a physiotherapy journal, it's a process analysis journal, it's an occupational therapy journal, or generally it can be a rehabilitation journal, in which case every member of the rehabilitation group can benefit. Or it can be an all health science journal, in which case everybody in the early healthcare professional can equally benefit from it. So these journals are targeted at groups, and many of the groups I listed earlier, students, researchers, clinicians, academic communities, are all likely groups that will benefit from the information from the journal. The journal publications actually report and disseminate original research findings, original research and study findings. And I want to be a bit clear on this, because while we say things like systematic reviews and meta-analysis in themselves are not original research, but they are often summaries of different original researches. So they can still come in under this. And because they are even at the topmost level in the hierarchy of research, because they have synthesized information from multiple group of researchers to give us information. Oh. Sorry, excuse me. My son was asking whether to put the one. They often involve stringent peer review process to check the manuscript content and validate what you upload. So the process themselves is not. Prof mentioned earlier what you will have to go through before you get published. So if a work is published, even though that it's published does not say it is perfect, but at least it's assumed that it has some credibility. However, let me warn, it is if you are published in a good journal, there are a good number of fake or predatory journals that will publish anything. In fact, if you sit down today and just conjure up something in your mind and push to them, as long as you can pay, they are ready to publish for you. So that's why I must also warn that the fact that something is published does not make it useful. Where is it being published? What's the credibility of the journal in where it is published? But it does not mean that our local journals are not often predatory journals. Maybe journal of the journal from BUK, University of Ibadan Physiotherapy Department also has a journal in the past that was doing well. I don't know if it's still on AJPAS. And I know BUK has a journal that is also not doing Bio Physiotherapy, BACPAP or something that was also doing well. These are because these are good local journals and are doing well. But you should check what kind of journal it is before even considering how well you can use the findings from such journals. The academic writing style used in journals, they far from the language and style that is used in magazine and newspaper. Why is it important to mention this to us? A good number of us are often journalistic in our writing language. I recently examined a PhD, and I have to ask the researcher if he was not in this scientific profession, what profession would he like? And he said he would like to be a journalist. And I had to tell him that your writing style reflected that. You are writing more like a journalist than like a scientist. So scientific writing differs in a lot of ways than to journalistic writing. The presentation by Prof has highlighted, if you follow it very well, the way scientists are, we don't waste too many words. Whatever statement you are making goes directly to the point. They are apt and straight to the point. Unlike telling stories that journalists will want to do and embellishing facts like journalists will want to do. So we skip straight to the point and present things the way they are. Journals are generally available at libraries, but are also now most available online. Now, one of the things that may give a challenge to a budding researcher who wants to start publishing is the question of where do I publish? And to some extent, Prof has addressed this. But the other thing that gives challenge is because of there are different publishing modes or publishing rights, or what you can also call publication types. this time and on, it used to be in the past, all we had were hard copy journals, what we call print versions. Now we have varieties. We now have journals that have both the print and the online version. And then we have journals that are basically only available online without having the print. The only online version are becoming more popular than the print only or print plus online version. Why? The cost of publishing is massive, and this increases when you consider printing hard copies. So it makes everything more expensive. So publishers are looking more at ways of how do we get more articles out, and also reduce the cost of publication. And so they are opting out of a good number of them are opting out of the print model. The online model also has given additional benefits of having the researcher or the author team giving extra link to maybe their raw data or some other benefits that they could not put in the manuscript itself. That anybody who now needs this additional information only needs to click on the link that is provided, and you have access to all other additional information that you may have wanted to ask the authors if you're able to meet them face to face. So with this, we have different subscription type. There is the membership based, those ones that only members can access, only those who register as members of maybe a particular association or to a particular online platform can see. Then we have the pay-per-view option, in which case, if you want to be able to read a particular journal, you have to pay. You might pay for a one-time view. You might pay to have access for a month to be able to view it over the course of a month or something like that. And there are those that have what we call the license to the site. Most times, this license to the site is often purchased by institutions, so that members of that institution, members of the community in that institution can have access to that site and be able to view whatever publication is on the site. Then we have the subscription-based journals. We'll talk about subscription-based, and then we also have the open access journals. Open access actually means that the entire content of the paper is available to all readers. You don't need to subscribe to a journal or pay access to the paper. Anybody can read a paper as long as it is open access. The open access is the preferred model for researchers, because if your work or your article is open access, then as many people can read it. So you have access to a wider audience. And if you have access to a wider audience, the visibility of your article is increased. However, to publish open access is an expensive business. It's a very, very expensive business. Be that as it may, there are three different formats of open access. One of them is the green open access. In the green open access, people who have access to the preprint or the accepted manuscript, the final draft of the accepted manuscript on a personal website, institutional website, or non-profit repository such as PubMed. And so, as soon as your paper is accepted, it becomes available even before the journal takes you through the journal formatting process and the final publication process and all those things. They make it available online, and people can start reading the work as soon as it is accepted for publication. The key thing for green open access is that the copyright for green open access is retained by the journal publisher. There is also the gold open access. In the gold open access, people only have free access to the final published version of the article. And this will be on the publisher's website. So the publisher's website, anybody who goes there can read the article from any particular author. However, the authors retain their copyright so that anything to be gained from that work must come to you as the author. Gold open access gives you, as an author, ownership of your work after publication, but it also ensures that the most accurate final form of the paper is available to all the readers. Another publication type is the hybrid open access type. In the hybrid open access, some content, some articles in the hybrid open are free, while some other ones have to be bought. That's because those authors have yielded it to subscription based. So authors applying to publish are given two options. Do you want to publish open access, in which case you will pay for publishing, or do you want to cede your rights to the publishers, in which case it's anybody who now wants to read your work must pay to read it, and your work is not open access. The journals that do this can say, okay, we will retain the right to this work for 4 years. After 4 years, the paper will now be made open access. But ab initio, some other authors who are ready to pay can have their paper open access from the beginning. While those of you who cannot afford to pay or who do not want to pay will now have that paper only open access after some years. This is the hybrid open access type. It's a mix between subscription-based. Subscription-based is the one that you have to pay. People have to pay to be able to read the article. So it's a bridge between direct open access and subscription-based type. Depending on all these things that we have discussed, the copyright, who owns the copyright of the paper now depends on the publisher and the author. Whatever, did you cede your right at the point of before publication is agreed on, or did you pay so that the right of the paper becomes you? Then there is another important is whether a Creative Commons license is available. Creative Commons license is something that has been arranged by publishers to make different groups of publishers to make publications freely available, particularly to some areas in the world where the burden of their economy makes it difficult for researchers to be able to access quality publications. So it's an arrangement that is made to help people access works that have been published from different group of authors and in different journals as soon as they are published without people having to pay for them. I'll just quickly mention these two other submission types. There's what we call mega submissions, the mega publications rather. Mega publications accept manuscripts from across discipline. You know what, we started by saying that they are usually discipline specific. So you can see the same journal taking something from medical laboratory, something from physiotherapy, something from radiography, something from occupational therapy, something from speech therapy in the same journal. This kind of journal, even though people have to pay the article processing charge, like you do in a subscription-based journal or an hybrid-based journal, but their article processing charge is a lot cheaper than the major subscription-based journal. There is this Canadian journal that used to have that Global Journal of Earth Sciences, but I think their own APC2 has really gone up now. They used to have it's a mega journal like that, and that have a comparatively lower APC. They've been around for more than 25, 30 years, if I'm right. And there is what is called overlay journals. Overlay journals are actually not bona fide published journals. These overlay journals only provide a researcher or a student with links to articles on specified open access repository. This link will have the volume and issue number of the concerned journal on it. And so it's a source where people can actually have access to people's work from curated
I think I don't know some.
Yeah, break it.
The answer now break it.
Siana. So I go buy 2. Come for 1 and 2.
Okay.
Madam, so look, you help me mute that.
Pack all of them, put inside one bag.
Yeah, wait. Let me check. Never finished my meeting.
So these are some open access publishers. Frontiers, MDPI, there's Multiple Digital Publishing Institute, Biomed Central, Plus One. These are generally well-known open access journal. BMC generally, a good number of our colleagues have been able to publish what stands BMC out from all others is that they have waivers for low and middle income country, and many Nigerian researchers have been able to benefit from it. Many Nigerians say does open access, but you have to pay to publish open access. Some Springer journals too offers you, and they are more subscription based too, so you have to pay. Either you pay or you cede your right to publish in them. So, what BMC gives a lot of waivers. Others will tell you that they are giving you discounts and not complete waivers. But BMC has a variety of journals, and then with possibility of complete waivers if you want to publish with them. So we'll go to other types now. The other type I want to talk about, which is still related to journal publication, is the preprint servers. And this is something that a good number of young researchers and young academics are trying to make use of, especially for papers that have suffered multiple rejections. If a paper has suffered multiple rejections, they place it on these preprint servers to make it available so that people can judge. And surprisingly, you see people citing the paper that has from the preprint server, and you see that paper gaining citations from that mode. So it will mean that the information is useful, and that maybe the researchers have been sending their work to the wrong journals, and that is why it has not found acceptance. Or they have been sending their work to very competitive journals instead of looking for journals. Sometimes there are work that those highly competitive journals may not be interested in, but it does not mean that the work, like Prof said, rejection does not mean it is not good. So sometimes it's just to look for a journal. When you have sent out work to all these and they are not, look for a journal that will be more, that will find it more acceptable, or you put it on the preprint server. These are online repositories or platform where you can share your author's original manuscripts even before they have been peer reviewed or published in any academic journal. This allows for rapid dissemination of research findings and facilitates early feedback from the scientific community. And that's why what I said about citation is a form of feedback. And sometimes people will also send messages to you asking you, can we have the instruments you use for this work? Can we have access to your raw data or some information about how you went about carrying out this work and things like that? So it has a lot of benefit. So what are the benefits of utilizing the preprint repositories? One, your manuscript can become available for others to read even before the final public. So even when you have sent the work out to journals and is under review, you can post a preprint server to any of these preprint server, and then the work is already there. And this helps, especially, I'll give you an example. There are some journals that are very slow. There was one of our studies that was published last year, or no, early this year, and has been out since 2023. For many researchers, this will be a harrowing experience. In fact, it was my doctoral, one of my former doctoral students that sent the work out. And at a point, she was asked, I said, just since they have not rejected this, is there, just keep faith with them, keep reminding them, and keep telling them this. Eventually, the work was published early this year. So if the ideal thing to do would be to have the preprint server so that people can start seeing it as early. Now, just this year that it has come out, it has attracted a few citations. So which means that if it had been available earlier, the citation would have even been higher. So when you have extended delay in publication, it's advisable that you consider putting that work on a preprint server. And it's also like your copyright, so that if others, nobody will say that others, well, you lay claim to originality. If, like, for example, some other persons maybe there is some fraud that some people do, especially some predatory, some other persons who run predatory journals and are looking for promotion themselves, for example, may see the work that you have sent, or a reviewer that your work has been sent to, if it's a fraudulent reviewer, may just change the author's name and author's addresses and things like that and send it to another journal. Even though this is not common, but it's something that can also happen. But if you already have that as a public record, it's like your copyright. So it establishes you as the main author of this material. And then also, the work is likely to be assigned a digital object identifier, the DOI. And once you have this, people may be able to give you feedback that may help improve your article. That even when the review comes back from the main journal that you have submitted it to, you can also have things to add because of the feedback you have gotten from the responses from people who have read the preprints. After submitting your original original manuscript to preprint servers, ensure to cite your preprint in the manuscript you submit to the journal during publication. So if you have if the first thing you did was to have uploaded your work to a preprint repository, make sure you allow the journal to know that the work is already in a preprint repository, so that the journal can link your auto original manuscript to the final version of record of the publication itself. So they can connect it to the article when it is finally published. And once your article is accepted, you must ensure the updating of the preprint to acknowledge that the article has been accepted for publication as follows. For example, this article has been accepted for publication in the Journal of the Nigerian Medical Rehabilitation, of the Journal of Medical Rehabilitation, published by MRTB. And after the publication, you can now add the following text to your preprint so that you encourage others to read and cite the final published version of your article. This is an original manuscript of an article that is published by MRTB in the Nigerian Journal of Medical Rehabilitation 2024, available online on this particular site with the DOI cited. So this keeps the credibility and the integrity of the whole process clean and clear. These are all linked up together. Some examples of preprint servers. We have the archive, the ARSIV that was archive, is a preprint server that focuses on physics, mathematics, computer science, and some other sciences. Then we have the biological archive, which is for biology and related life sciences. We have the chemical archive, which is for chemistry. We have the social archive for social sciences, psychological archive for psychology and related fields. And we have the medical archive for health sciences, which includes epidemiology, clinical research, medical rehabilitation research, and public health. And we have this preprint.org, which is an open access repository for various disciplines. It's cut across disciplines. And every one of them ensure rapid sharing of research findings and early feedback from the academic or research community. The next thing we'll talk about is the academic social network. Academic social networks are online platforms that are designed to help researchers, academics, and scholars connect, collaborate, and share their work. Academic social network help facilitate the dissemination of research findings, the exchange of ideas, and the building of professional relationships within the academic community. They enhance the visibility of the researchers, help researchers to foster collaboration, and also stay updated with the latest developments in their field. So we'll consider some of these academic social networks. One of them is the Mendeley. Mendeley is actually primarily both a reference manager for managing your references and also an academic social network. What it does in terms of managing references is to help organize the papers and your citations in one place. But as a social network, it also creates and join groups to share and discuss research evidence with other people and provide for you as a researcher, if you are doing anything, because of the way it's designed, it can recommend to you, help you find some relevant research materials that may be useful for the paper you are writing. So if you are doing your own new paper, a tool like Mendeley can bring to you useful materials to help you develop your own manuscript. So that's the usefulness of this. Then we have the LinkedIn. LinkedIn also is primarily used for professional networking and career development. It is people post their CVs, employers also post their job listings so that both the employer and the people seeking employment can get connected. But it's also used by researchers to share their articles or publication information and to also share posts about maybe their insightful findings and also organize events related to their discoveries or anything like that. Then we have the Academia Edu. Academia Edu, which is a platform for academics to share their research papers and also follow the work of other researchers. You are anybody on Academia Edu, most academics are on Academia Edu. You are the platform actually begins to seek out your work, your publications, and try to combine them so that anybody who comes on that can see you or your profile, and then they can see the papers you already have and things like that. And if they discover any other paper related to you, they will also add it and ask you, can we add this? Is it from you? And all those things. But as a researcher yourself, you can upload and share your research papers, your conference presentations. If you have written books, you can upload them on Academia Edu and it will be available for other people to see. The additional benefit of Academia Edu is that it gives you information about those who are reading your work and people who are citing your work and people who are following you. And in Academia Edu, if you are working in the same area, like let's assume that myself and Prof are working in the same area of research and I'm following him, we are both physiotherapists, I'm following him. If it does any new work, I get to see what he's working on presently by being on that platform. you also are able to join academic discussion, and if there's a research topic comes in, you are able to explore it along with others. So it's a good platform for sharing your profile. People get to know who you are. If they need you for something, for example, Prof talked about the idea of collaboration. People may reach out to you and say, we saw what you are doing. We saw that you are in this area. We are planning to do something on this area, and we want to know whether you are interested in joining us. So people can reach out to you based on your profile on this platform. And that way, your visibility is enhanced and increased. Another research network is the ResearchGate. Both ResearchGate has a lot of people, professionals, researchers, scientists, where people are allowed to share their materials, to follow one another, and to collaborate based on anything. And people can bring questions bothering them onto this platform, and it is shared for people to respond to and help them. Like, I know that people have asked issues that borders on what kind of statistics will best. I have this design work that I'm doing. What kind of statistics will best answer, meet my needs? And they've been able to use to get answers to that from ResearchGate. So as a researcher, you are encouraged to fill out your profile in detail on this kind of platform, showing your research interests, your publications, your contact information, and all those things. The ResearchGate also populates your publication. Sometimes even before you discover that your paper has already been, it has been accepted that they are working on publication, but even before you get to discover that the work has been finally published and uploaded online. Publications like ResearchGate would have, once it comes online, publications like ResearchGate, platforms like this picks it up and ask you, is this your paper? Should we add it for you? Then we have the social media platforms. It's an era of social media use, and researchers are also leaning on this to improve their visibility. Researchers are leaning on this to improve their visibility. And even though most times it's not everything that we have, the whole paper or the whole manuscript is not shared on this platform, but usually a summary of them is shared, and something they are made in such a way that it's easy for especially if your findings have implications for the populace, for the man on the street, for men in government who are not interested in reading scientific papers. You can summarize your finding, your work in a more convivial manner, in a way that easy to read, short, brief, and then share them on platforms like Facebook, which is good for reaching a broader audience. Many people are on Facebook. And then Twitter, where many people, which is very, where people get instant updates. Almost as you are tweeting on Twitter, somebody is responding to your tweet. And so researchers are also using this to share their articles and engage in discussions using hashtag, depending on whatever you are working in. Must be hashtag physical activity. Where you will tell them your important finding on how physical activity helps, and people can immediately begin to comment, and then comment for or against, or also ask questions. And the most important is that when you are on this media handles, you have to be consistent. You have to generally always be there, and you have to make sure you are responding. Then we have the Instagram tool, which is a more visual, more visual. So you can use images, infographics, short videos relating to your research to share your research. People are also using TikTok to share information about their research. These are things that researchers are making use of to share information about their researches. And the good thing about things like TikTok is that you may also, aside that, you may also earn money on it when it is shared and people are on it. And then we have the YouTube, which allows more, it's a more broader thing. We can even, you can organize an interview where you are able to discuss more extensively your research, what's all about, the methodology, your findings, and the implication, and all those things. And then you can share it, and people can get to learn from it and say, oh, they get to have this eye opener about this. And for those who have time, they might now go out to say, okay, if you want more, you can read our article on that's available at this particular site and things like that. You can give those information when you share on YouTube. So these social media platforms are also the effective utilization of these social media platforms can enhance the dissemination of evidence, help you to engage with a broader audience, and increase the impact of your research. However, like everything that has the good and the bad side, it has their own limitation. Quality of information can vary from good to poor. Unfortunately, people have used social media to do more damage by misinforming and claiming to be given evidence. They tell you, if you use this, you can get this cure. We have a lot of content out there on social media that they will tell you is verifiable from research and everything. That's leaves more to be desired. So one has to be careful. And as a scientist using it, make sure the only thing you are pushing out is the fact and nothing but the facts. These social media platforms lack any form of peer review. So those are unlike what you have in journals or conferences. And like I said, they can be instrument for people pushing their biases, and then people pushing their misinformation into the public space. Most often too, we run the risk of having something that is outdated. I don't know how, if you would have seen posts that people would have called that, this thing happened in 2016, and they will say it just happened yesterday. You know, this is what happened yesterday at this particular place. Yet it is something that has been shared as far back as 2016. And so all those things are there with the social media handles. The next platform we talk about is the institutional repositories. What are institutional repositories? They're actually digital archives that collect, preserve, and distribute the intellectual output of an institution, such as universities and research organizations. Institutional repositories provide a centralized location for storing various types of research evidences. They also make research output freely accessible to the public. They are owned by institutions like UI, OAU, UNILAG, BUK, UNIBEN, UNIMED, all these institutions, UNIMED, and others. It's like their libraries are brought, the libraries it's like their online library version, so that people can, and I know a good number of us, in the course of maybe our research work, may have seen institution posting from these repositories the research work of certain people that actually helped us to conceive our own methodology properly. However, for the author or for the researchers, or the benefit at the institutional repositories allows the long-term preservation and archiving of their materials in such a way, helping to safeguard the research evidence for future access and use. What do I mean by future access and use? One of the problems we have, for example, in the clinic, when you want to do retrospective studies, is poor keeping of records. Poor keeping of records, so that we do not have access. But for materials that are the data that you submitted 10 years, somebody else can go back to the data and do a secondary analysis of that data to answer a new research question. So they are there. The only thing is that you, as the primary collector of the data and provider of the data, will be acknowledged well. So people can still use the data you submit today, even many years later, to answer some new research questions or meet some new research objectives. These institutional repositories facilitate collaboration within the academic community and also make it easier for researchers to discover related work. What people have done. So I can be in social sciences or psychology. And because today, as physiotherapists, we are no longer just involved in looking at the physical component of health. We also look at the psychosocial implications of the conditions or the health issues that we deal with. So it's possible for us now that as physiotherapists, we can work along with our colleagues in the field of psychology or in the field of social sciences. And they will discover us, or we discover them through their own work, through their institutional repositories. So we can discover each other through this process of institutional repositories. And so, in this way, interdisciplinary research and knowledge sharing is encouraged. I have here some examples of institutional repositories from UNN, from UNILAG, and the University of Ibadan. Those are examples of institutional repositories. Are you with me, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know if at this stage I could take a few questions before going on, so that if you have anything that I've said that you need clarification on, I could take it now. Are there areas that people want to take clarification on? Okay, we go ahead. Conferences and symposia. Personally, I encourage people, especially young researchers, proud to even preparing their manuscript, to first try and present at a conference. Because when we go for conferences and you make presentations, either via platform presentations or poster presentations, people can make contributions or ask questions that will help you to do a more tidy job of your manuscripts, so that by the time you have taken their feedback and you are sending your work out to any journal, the work has already been enriched because of the critical feedback you have taken from other sources. They say multiple heads are better than one. So if you have gotten ideas from people, suggestions from people, it would have enriched your work. And then when you now send the manuscript as a better work. So I always encourage my own students to try and present at conferences and then take the feedback there to enrich the manuscript they are preparing prior to sending it out for publication. This forum, the other conferences on symposiums, generally bring as a platform for information dissemination and information sharing and collaboration. And like I said, gives an immediate feedback to the researcher. That this feedback can be very invaluable in refining and improving their research. And also, by bringing researchers from different disciplines, conferences facilitate and not just different disciplines, different locations. Conferences facilitate interdisciplinary and a multinational or multi-regional collaborations that can lead to more innovative research projects. And as an attendee at this conference, to listening out to, you get to know what people are working on, what people are doing, and you yourself get ideas about what is the latest in the area of your area of specialization or practice. Conferences can be either, we have two chances of these types of presentation in conferences, either the platform or oral presentations, or the poster presentations. Those with platform or oral presentations actually are the ones who stand. They may have 5 minutes, it might be 5 minutes or 10 minutes to talk to the audience and present your work to them. And you get the opportunity of having the feedback by them asking questions, you reacting to their questions immediately, and then getting suggestions about what you may need to do further and all those things. Poster presentations, on the other hand, are similar, but you don't go on stage. There is a poster platform that is created maybe outside or at the back of the hall or outside the hall where the conferences are holding, where people come to meet the researchers beside their own poster. And after looking and reading your poster, they can engage you in one-on-one discussion. And then if there are things they need you to clarify for them, they ask you, you let them know. If there are suggestions, they also drop it with you. So either way, a researcher gets a benefit of immediate feedback from conference presentation, whether it is platform or poster. This is an example of a poster presentation like Prof told us when he was presenting his manuscript presentation. You have your research. Part of it is to have the poster. We always have it follows the IMRAD format: introduction, methodology, result, and discussion or conclusion. You have your research objectives briefly explained as part of the introduction, and then a little background to that. Then the key methods are also given in not too many words. Then on the poster too, you have your results displayed in all the possible ways, in text, figures, tables, and then a quick conclusion and discussion. And then lastly, a bit of the references. So a poster, the most important is that you make your poster as bright as what do we call to give it face validity. Let it be attractive to your audience. Let it be catchy. Your poster should not be too dull and should not be too wordy. And so the infographics help to make the poster a lot more clear. Some of the newer means of that online platforms have given us is our blogs and websites where research evidences are also being disseminated. Even professional associations and professional groups are leaning on this, aside researchers, to share information and tips to the public about their profession and about how people can get help, and to also share simple healthy tips to the society. They provide a way for information to be shared to anyone who has internet connection, so that our work can have a more global audience. Many research blogs and websites provide free access to content and provide wider dissemination of knowledge. Such information can either be accessed by the academic community or a general audience. And one thing about it is that they also have comment sections where readers can ask questions and get feedback to their questions, or engage in discussion with the person running the blogs. Like I said, almost all our professions have a lot of different kinds of blogs. We have the P&O blogs, we have the physiotherapy blogs. These are different physiotherapy blogs. We have the speech therapy blog. We have the hearing health and technology matters. We have the my OT spot for. So these are all blogs that can provide information to people, and people can relate to them. One traditional or more old form of sharing scientific information are the news media and media outlets, which will include the radio, the television, the cable networks, the newspaper, the magazines, and all these things. We all know how well these outlets have the opportunity to reach a wide and diverse audience. Both traditional and online media make research findings accessible to the public and policymakers. Channel television in Nigeria, cable network in the US, BBC, Al Jazeera, many people get to, during COVID, many of us relied on this outlet for updated information on what is happening, what is being discovered, where are the drugs, where are the new drugs, what is the situation about the tests that are being done with the drugs. We practically relied on them during the COVID outbreak. For people who are doing researches, but even the researchers, proud to getting the work published, were releasing the information from their research through these media outlets. And so they have become an important source of sharing even research information, because we often, I'm not saying at all times, but they will often verify the authenticity of the research findings. Many of these research outlets have their, what they call, either their science editors or their medical editors who are supposed to have some knowledge in that area and can, in their own way, review the information and even do more research on the information before the paper will eventually bring it out to the public. The additional benefit of these news media and outlets is that their coverage of research events encourages the use of research evidence in policy and decision-making process better than we can do even with our journal publication. If we're able to get the media interested in our findings, they will be more than able to influence their use in the public space in terms of advancing policymakers. These are some of them: Time Magazine, CNN, and all these ones. So now let's look at disseminating strategies. What strategies should be employed when you are using these different platforms? Whatever strategy you use will be platform dependent. Whatever strategy is to be used will be platform dependent. For peer-reviewed journals, it is best to choose your journal before you start writing. Why? So that you can mold your writing in line with the style of that particular journal. You have your material, but you write for a journal from the material you already have. So if that journal rejects and you have another journal in mind, you rewrite to suit this new journal that you have in mind. Journals have specific criteria related to them. It may be in terms of their manuscript structure, in terms of their word limit, in terms of their reference type. They also have specific focuses and scopes. A key information that I want us to take away, especially for those aspiring, aspiring to publishing, is that when you select a journal, note that editors will often look at your references to see whether you have cited articles published in their journal. If you have cited 1 or 2 articles published in their journal, you are likely going to make the editor already happy because that is already trying to increase the citation of that journal. So that gives you, it's like making a good impression at the beginning with the editor. So keep this in mind that if you have selected any journal, try to see whether you can get 1 or 2 works from that journal to add to your, and that's why I said that your manuscript will be work in progress as long as you keep changing the journal to send it to. So you may have to add an additional 1 or 2 references that are from that journal when you have selected this journal and you after maybe an initial rejection by a previous journal. Once you have chosen a journal, identify articles published there that may have a bearing on your manuscript, and then include them among your references. Include them among your references. And then you need to ask yourself these questions. Which journal is likely to accept my manuscripts? Prof has mentioned that part of rejection is part of publishing and is an expected part of publishing. Even the most accomplished scholars who have a lot of articles in high impact journals will tell you their rejection experiences, and it can be mountainous in nature. It's more like for every article you have published, you have at least 1 or 2 or 3 rejections attached to it. So in order to limit, especially if you do not have the heart to handle rejection, you must do your own work very well to find out which kind of journal is likely to accept my manuscripts. Would they be interested in this kind of information that I want to bring out? And then also ask yourself, how do I best avoid rejection? The next thing you may need to ask yourself is, how do I avoid predatory journals? How do I avoid predatory journals? Prof gave some hints about that earlier. Most of the time they are solicitory. They are always asking you to send and all those things. They tell you they have 2 weeks, even 1 week publishing rates that your article, the process of publication within 2 weeks, they can get your paper out and all those things. You have to be wary of these predatory or so-called fake journals. What can I do to limit delay in the review and publication process? One of the things you can do is to make your work as simple as possible and make it a joy to read. Make it a joy to read. Avoid over-explaining. There are times we do over-explaining or write too many things that are distracting to somebody who is trying to read the work. If you write too lengthy a background, for example, or you begin to bring in like some of the things that do not matter into your discussion, and you fail to focus your work properly, it can make reviewers, they might accept initially to review, but when they see your style of writing, they might just drop the work somewhere. And so they will not return back to the editors in time. And so you need to be careful the way your writing style to be in such a way that potential reviewers will read and understand you very easily. And the next question is, how do I handle rejections and damning critics? You must be ready for this. Rejections will come. If they come, you move on. It's part of the game. And then there are situations where the editor is interested in publishing your work, but you have damning critics. And so the prof has given us a leeway around this, so I won't dwell so much on it. And so why the critics is trying to suggest, for example, we have had experiences of a critic who did not say anything about the merit of the paper. Paper is good, but it should be sent to a local journal. That was his advice. That was what he kept. But the editor gave us a chance to revise and make it, to bring out the good editor gave us a chance to bring out the international implication of our manuscripts. And we worked on that. Even though after working on it, the critic was still not satisfied they wanted. But the editor, because we have provided what the editor suggested to us, the paper was eventually published. So you will not condemn, you will appreciate, like Prof said, or even the most damning of critics, you will appreciate them, thank them for their feedback, thank them for the work they have put in, and try to explain yourself in a way. If they still fail to know, you keep trying and suggesting. Do not be confrontational. You do not need it. So how do I get myself also into conferences? The first stage in conferences is to send an abstract. Most conferences will ask for abstract to be submitted, and you have to have a clear and compelling abstract for your abstract to be selected. So you must prepare your abstract very well. And when your abstract has been selected and you have been given a chance to present, make sure that the presentation that you will have is clear. It's also engaging. Feel it as much as possible with visual aids. And you can also share your presentation and the materials after the event, either through the organizers of the conference, or if there is a platform for attendees, you share it through that platform for the attendees. And make sure you yourself participate in discussions or contribute during the lead workshops on specific topics. So before you present, people have already seen you be engaging in that conference. So when you want to present, you can be sure there will be people will be interested in listening to what you want to say yourself. So those are ways of optimizing your conference research presentation. And as a conference presenter, take advantage of network opportunities so that you'll be able to connect with other researchers working in similar fields, and through that find some potential collaborators. Sorry. For the academic social networks like ResearchGate, LinkedIn, and Academia do, you are encouraged to fill out your profile completely, and this should include your research interests and publications. If there are online discussions going on, try as much as possible to participate, and to also follow, as researchers are following you, also follow them back and follow other researchers. Upload your publications and share updates regularly. As soon as you get a new publication, make sure it's available. Share your findings as soon as they are ready. And when questions and comments are sent to you or requests, make sure you respond to them. And if there is anything that has come up from your work, post the updates. Or if there is something you have revised as your research progresses, post the updates of these two. And if you are on the social media outlets, try as much as possible to post consistently in order to maintain engagement. Use the question and answer feeds, and you can also use relevant hashtag to increase your visibility. For newspapers, magazine, cable network, television, and radio, the key is to use attention-grabbing headlines. You know, you must use something that physical activity leads to high rates of strokes in a southeastern Nigerian population. What you have found out in finding is that the number of people who have stroke was lower among those who are physically active compared to those who are physically inactive. But anybody who says physical activity leads to, we want to say, how does it? And so they come in and then they find out that, okay, you are less likely to develop stroke if you are physically active than when you are physically inactive. Write in a way that is easy for the general public to understand. Like I said, when you are engaging in all this social media or public or news, and there is no room for our medical jargons or our professional jargons. Keep it simple. Say it in a way that everybody can understand. And more importantly, highlight the human impact or relevance of your research. How does it affect them? Break it down. How does it affect them? You must also be available for interviews and to provide additional information if needed. And then, as much as possible, use compelling features and narratives in order to capture people's interest. For blogs and websites, write engaging posts that explain your research evidence in layman's terms, and use multimedia elements like video, images, and infographics, and keep your blog regularly updated. Engage with your community. Engage, engage, engage. Engage as much as possible. And when you have to do public speaking, use storytelling. It works wonders. Use visuals and interactive elements to keep the audience engaged. Avoid jargon and explain complex concepts in very simple manners. Encourage them to ask questions and gather feedback from the audience. We have gotten to a point where we are rounding up. And in conclusion, I will be saying to us, like I said at the beginning, that it is a disservice to humanity if our research evidence, our research findings are not put in the public space. Research evidence ought to be disseminated in a format that suits your platform, any platform you are presenting on. Each of these platforms has the advantages and challenges. So the format you are also using will naturally have its own advantages and challenges, and each of them requires specific skills which you must acquire and strategies for you to communicate effectively. So you therefore need to acquire these skills and develop them so that you can, and the more skills you have, the more platform you can utilize. As a researcher, you can actually use all these platforms. A good number of us are limited on all this. We are here and there and not in this other place. But the more platforms you are, the more visible you are, the more accessible you are. So in order to increase your visibility and make your research findings available to a wider audience, increase the number of platforms on which you operate. Your research evidence should also be tailored and presented in a manner that suits the audience that it is being communicated to. There are things you cannot say in some platforms. There are things that you cannot do in some platforms. Different forums attract different audiences. Conferences, journals, webinars will reach scholars like what we are having this afternoon are for professionals and scholars like you all. Whereas it will be a different engagement if I was having a community meeting or engaging on social media or doing a public lecture that was meant for the general public. It's important that the format and content must be tailored to the specific audience, because it is only by doing this that the evidence you are presenting can be understood and valued by those who can benefit from it the most. I would like to appreciate in a very special way my brother and friend and former student, Dr. Kingsley Okamuche, is a piano specialist. He shared some materials that helped in preparing this presentation. I would also like to thank the Medical Rehabilitation Therapists Board, the registrar and the entire staff members, particularly the head of the institute who is helping to facilitate this, Mrs. Tolulope, and all you wonderful participants. I appreciate you all. Thank you for listening. Are we still there?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So it's time for questions. So if you have questions, you can raise your virtual hand up, or you're mute
Thank you,
and you
sir.
ask your questions.
Are there questions? Okay. Kelani Mansour, please. Go ahead, please. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, good afternoon, Prof. Thank you, sir, for the presentation so far and the
Thank you, my
other
brother.
presenter. Really appreciate it's highly fill up for what you be. But my little question on this is for some of us, although maybe with time we might wish to be of academic in presentation. Of what locally or where locally can one be having more insight on this process of research work, journals presentation that because personally I'm an audiologist but more of clinicals, which I felt that lot of my engagement is clinical, but from this presentation I see it like it's not only for those on academic that needs to be presenting journals because at work there are a lot of experience you gather when you publish it, it enriches and even promote more of your practice. But more of the challenges, yes, might be of the source and the financial involvement in publications, more of journals. That of at where can one be able to get local assistance that one can be moving on little by little, then with time one can see it as global presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. I want to say to you that the best place to generate research ideas is in the clinic. Every research idea that took me from undergraduate to PhD came from the clinic. And the research idea for my first 10, about 15 supervisees were also ideas I took away from the clinic into academia. So you are in the right place. And we have colleagues in Nigeria who are still today in the clinic, but they are very highly published. I can refer you to two in the Southwest, Dr. Yewole in Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, and Dr. Michael Ogunlana in I think FMC Abeokuta, are two colleagues who are still in the clinic who are very widely published. You asked the question, how do we get help? It's about collaborating. There are people, if you are interested, you have something in mind, even among your colleagues there, you can, and it doesn't have to be, for example, you are in audiology, but it doesn't have to be a colleague just in audiology. You can work with any group, including physiotherapists, occupational therapists in your setting, if there are others, rehabilitation experts, or even others healthcare professionals who are not in rehabilitation, like nurses, doctors, who also have a desire for this. You can all put resources together. The money is hardly ever there, especially in where the salary is hardly enough to meet our needs. But if you have people who share similar desires and similar goals, and they don't even also have to be just in your locality alone, you can reach out to colleagues in other areas who share similar ideas. And when you all put resources together, you can always start something. The other part of that question is that, do we have the research capacity itself? And this is where you may need to bring in somebody who is in academia and then reach out to them and say, I have this idea. Can we discuss so that we formulate this idea into something concrete and then have a plan on how to go about it? So that person serves as the consultant to the group in a way. And it's also, he can eventually be part of the group as a whole. And then his own knowledge base is like his own contribution to the group thing. And it will also be very useful when this thing is being put together for publication. But you can, working with others makes you able to meet up these challenges that you have spoken about. They are real challenges, but they are not insurmountable challenges. It's just about openness and getting people who are also open and ready to collaborate. And then we can get it. In terms of now, where do you, if you have manuscripts, there are a lot of journals, like I said, that's why I singled out about Med Central. They have so many journals. They have so many journals that we can publish in, and they have direct waivers for those of us from low and medium income countries. Some of these others have hybrid options. The payment is still there. There are, I don't know how many institutions are ready to supply to support their staff to publish. There may not be many, but that should not give us a reason for not publishing. Apart from local journal, because we wish to support our local journals, I usually don't pay to publish. I don't know if my friend has been
Thank you, sir.
satisfied. And if you are willing, you can reach out to me. I will share my phone number and my email with Madam Tolu so that she can share.
I will appreciate. Thank you, sir.
God bless. Any other question?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can we get the notes, sir?
Yes, it will be shared.
All right. Thanks.
Any other? Maybe generally, let me just say this, that the survival of our professions and our prestige as professionals is dependent on how much evidence we all strive to push out. Our professions will not be what they are without those evidences. And if we want to improve on what we are, is to continue to churn out evidences. So every one of us should be engaged in research, should be engaged in research sharing. And even if you are not sure about whatever you have, and I'm saying this again for my friend, just take it to a conference, present it. That is when you begin to see that people are interested in what you have. Take it to a conference. Submit your abstract to a conference, and by the time you go there and you make your presentations, no matter how good or weak it is, you see people will be ready to help. So let's be ready to push our information, our research evidences into the public, to generate the research evidence and then push them into the public space. Are there any other questions? If there are no more, I will say thank you all for your participation and attentiveness. And I will hand over to my host.
Thank you so much, sirs. Today we have two professors to dissect disseminating evidence, and I'm sure we all have a whole lot to get from this workshop of today. I want to appreciate you, sirs, for your commitment and for the work that has been done and for the output. So I will be expecting the slides, sir, so that
I will share with you immediately.
Yes, sir. So we can share with the other participants while we are sending out the certificates and workshop materials. Thank you so much, sirs. We're grateful. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend. And we call it a day at this point. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a lovely weekend, sir.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your presence.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Manatolu, I'm sending it immediately.
Thank you, sir.
You have it already? Okay, sir. All right, I've received yours, sir. All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Sir.
and I will share my phone number with so that my friend
Mr.
Kelani and anybody
Yes,
who is
sir. Yes.
interested can have it.
All right, sir. No problem, sir.
And the email.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, sir. We will and we anticipate a lot more in the future, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll
God
be
bless
I'll
you.
be I'll be willing to I'll be looking forward to hearing from you all.
Yes, sir. God bless you, sir.
Amen, and you too. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Is this just a sending fair?